percentage of people in the U.S. do you think live in poverty?
Maybe about 25%.
I would say it's probably somewhere between 10 and 15%.
30%.
Oh God.
Who wants to start?
Oh no! I don't know, a lot.
I would guess 15, 20%.
Oh, I know it's a lot. It's like 30 something, right? 35, 37?
About 57, 60. Alright, how about DC?
15.1% of U.S. citizens live in poverty. In Washington, D.C., the problem is even worse. 115,000 of the city's residents live below the poverty line. People survive without the income they need to afford basic necessities or to feed their families, all the while living just blocks from the museums and monuments of the National Mall. But despite the importance of the issue, poverty accounts for less than 1% of all news coverage in the country.
We have found over the last several decades that poverty is rarely mentioned in the media, and when it is, it's often focused on an individual or hard luck story, and it isn't contextualized into a structural problem.
So we have the Washington Post front page and Metro for the last 3 days, and we're going to flip through and see how many articles we find on lower income neighborhoods or lower income crimes, or just poverty, or just poverty. Sections and 3 front page Washington Post sections, we found a total of 6 articles relating to low income or like poverty issues and just poverty in general. So we found 3 of them were
Paragraph long.
Yeah, just about like crime in Southeast DC. 3 in a row. Let me see.
3 of them were paragraph-long articles about crimes in DC.
Southeast DC.
Southeast DC.
And the other 3, one was 1 paragraph about Target raising minimum wage.
One was about a column about DC and the homelessness problem. And one was about education in Prince George's County and how it related to the socioeconomic class of people there.
So, out of 7 sets newspapers, 6 articles.
6 articles, and 4 were 1 paragraph long.
Yeah.
It's not sexy to talk about people in poverty. That's not something that everyone wants to talk about, because you want to talk about the U.S. and D.C. as being one of the greatest, most powerful cities in the world. You want to talk about the U.S. being one of the most powerful countries in the world. And so poverty is not a thing that we want to talk about.
Whatever, you're not going to see it. So they don't want you to see it. Because if you showed it on the newspaper, then obviously you probably wouldn't be able to get tourists to come. A lot of people probably wouldn't want to live in certain areas if we need revenue to keep going. Exactly.
One, people don't want to hear sad luck stories. 2, it isn't a very sexy topic, and also people are a little bit afraid of it, especially as we have a very tenuous middle class, where, as I said, many people are just 1 paycheck away. They really don't want to read about that.
Poverty is a cycle a lot of times, and it's something that people are stuck in and groups of people are stuck in. And so it's hard to get those voices from those communities out into the mainstream, because a lot of times people are literally living poverty as their daily lives, and that's completely disconnected from people who are leading middle-class lives as journalists and researchers and professionals. And so there's I think I wouldn't be wrong to say that's sort of a structural disconnect between the people who are reporting and the people who are researching and the people who are actually experiencing it. So although
how much time does a given news organization devote to covering the issue of poverty? Probably just a very small fraction. It doesn't mean that they're not covering the concerns of the poor. In terms of, I mean, if you're covering Social Security, are you covering poverty? Are you covering senior citizens? If you're covering Medicaid, are you covering poverty? Are you covering health issues? If you're covering voting rights, are you covering poverty? Are you covering politics? I mean, all those touch on poverty.
The media often tells the stories of people that have risen out of poverty. For example, the College Success Foundation in DC tells the stories of youth who grew up in poverty but now attend college.
So what you see are a lot of stories about people rising above poverty, when in fact that's not a poverty story. That's a success story, a wealth story.
The Economic Hardship Reporting Project, based in DC, publishes articles and reports written about poverty by unemployed or impoverished people. Examples include a story about a journalist's experience donating blood plasma for money, or this report on the increasing criminalization of poverty. Poverty needs to be shown in the media for what it is, a social problem that significantly affects a large portion of the U.S. population. Only when this happens will people realize the scope and the severity of the issue and devote their time and resources to solving it.